This year's Shanghai International Film Festival showcases a vision lab where people can see how virtual, augmented, and extended reality are being used in filmmaking. Zhang Yu has more on the future of making movies.
猴子许诺你的东西，猴子做不到。
At the Push Art Center in Putuo District, a twist on the journey to the West was created. This virtual reality version of the 170-year-old story was designed to be more futuristic. The motion capture system monitors the movements and gestures of the actor in real time and sends the data into the computer. Once in the system, the actor's appearance and voice can be changed and modified with just a few keystrokes and mouse clicks.
I do think the latest technology will enable new possibilities for film industries and entertainment industry. Although I do believe that AR, VR, or mixed reality will be working and moving forward in parallel with the film industry, because I do think there are different formats. I think one of the most challenging thing is that people have to cope up with how technology moving forward. We have to kind of learn and cope with the technology right now in order to see what they will be able to, provide us with. Because we cannot learn as quickly as machines.
We're heading to some of the most iconic peaks in the Dolomites.
People can feel like they're diving deep into the ocean and dance with jellyfish, or climb the Alps, or even blast off into outer space.
I
have never experienced VR technology lying down, because most VR games and movies don't have a full 360-degree space. I really feel like I am in the space. I wish I could use it at home.
30 movies are available during the film festival, including 6 national debuts. One of the most popular attractions is the 4-player mixed reality game Xscape. The game is a collaboration between Sandman Studio and 3DAR from Argentina.
So these VR headsets provide a 360-degree view of the movie, so you can be fully immersed in the experiences and be part of the action instead of just watching. Interactivity might be the top reason why more and more people are getting into VR, as viewers can make choices to impact the outcome and storyline of the movie.
We are also showcasing more than 10 VR devices so that people can be more immersed in movies and games. Dome screen movie are also available here, as well as interactive dancing. We want people to really walk into movie and be part of it.
Research Institute Omdia estimates that total consumer spending on VR devices and content is expected to reach $7.5 billion by 2026, and more than 70 million VR headsets will be used globally. The institute added that VR hardware and software value will increase to $16 billion in 2026 from 6.4 in 2021. Zhang Yue, ICS for CGTN, Shanghai.
For a deeper dive into China's movie market, we're joined by Patrick Frater. He's the Asia editor of Variety. Thanks for coming on the show. This is fascinating. In fact, I hadn't seen a movie in a really long time, and I went to go see Transformers with the kids, and we had a choice between 3D and then some other fancy stuff and the regular, and I chose the regular. And I know it's kind of old school, but there's all these new things that you can do, and we'll throw on there what you just heard earlier from virtual reality. How does Hollywood, or China for that matter, plan to monetize it? Is it really just higher ticket prices, or does that actually drive more people to come to the box office?
I think what you're seeing right now is that people are coming for big event movies, things that are shown on a large screen and with great sound. People definitely want to see those on the biggest possible, the best possible facilities they can, and take the kids and the family.
The China and the U.S., we've always had this very interesting but cooperative relationship, right, with Hollywood. There was a time when they weren't cooperating so much, and then they were cooperating, and then we had COVID, so now there's less cooperating. Where are we now in terms of what Hollywood is doing and what our friends in China are doing?
Thank you for asking that question, because for 10 years or more, China's box office grew very, very strongly and quite steadily, propelled by a mixture of policy liberalization, reasonable relations between the US and China, and a massive building of cinemas. And during the first couple of years of COVID, 2020 and 2021, China actually had the world's biggest box office market, overtaking North America. What happened last year was the thing that reversed. We had China's box office drop by a very significant figure. We saw cinema operators desperate for new product, and we saw difficult relations, geopolitical relations between the US and China, which meant there were many fewer American movies getting into Chinese cinemas as well. That phase of 2022 came to a bit of an end with a bounce for the end of the year when Avatar 2 released in Chinese cinemas, and then we had a very strong Chinese New Year in January 2023. So there was a phase of revenge spending, which gave us a very bouncy start to the Year of the Rabbit.
I'm probably dating myself,
now,
but
it's kind of slowed down again. So people are asking questions. Was that just a bulge, or is this the trend?
I grew up in an area of sort of Jackie Chan, and that was a big deal back then. But today, Hollywood makes movies that they want to have shown all over the world, and they're always trying to guess what the Chinese audience, for that matter, let's say Asian audiences, because I think sometimes we're too specific, but the Chinese and the Asian audience, what they may want to see. Does Hollywood know what the formula is, and what do Chinese consumers want?
Well, this is the most difficult question to answer at the moment, because nobody has the correct answer at all. Because one of the things that we've seen in the last few months is that Hollywood movies are now flowing back into China. You have to remember that, in fact, there are import controls on Hollywood movies, and then they are distributed by state-owned companies. So it's quite a controlled market. And for a couple of years during COVID, the tap was turned off. Now the tap has been turned on again, but the Hollywood movies are not doing very well in China. I would say their box office returns are perhaps 50% of what they might have expected beforehand. So people are asking exactly this question. Has Hollywood lost the formula, or have Chinese movies found something better? And have Chinese audiences tuned into something much more local and successful? And I think there's probably a bit of both. We don't quite know the answer yet.
Right, and I think this is an important question as well, because ultimately, if you want either Hollywood to succeed, or quite frankly, even the movie industry in general to succeed, you have to know what your audience wants to watch, because ultimately they're going to pay, they're going to the theater, and in the US we had a trend that people didn't go to the theaters, then we had COVID, and all of a sudden now we're seeing kind of an uptick of people going back into the theaters, the traditional theaters, albeit it might be 3D, and I wonder if we're going to see the same type of trends in China. And also I wanted to ask you, what type of movies? Do they want to see more dramas? Is it more comedy? Is it more sci-fi? Because this is something that Hollywood's been struggling with even here in the US.
Honestly, I think all genres are on the table and quite possible and can succeed. I mean, we love being surprised when something that we'd forgotten comes through, and you say, horror, of course, or comedy, or a great drama. I think people want originality and they want spectacle, because this is a time when we also have so many other choices. You've talked about going to the cinema, you've talked about 3D, but we also have streaming as a viable alternative with huge menu of films, and often offered far cheaper than going to the cinema. And you also have short form video, and we have gaming, and there's got huge competition for people's time. So I think any genre can work, but people are looking for quality and spectacle.
Yeah, I think that's one of the challenges that we see all over the world, and that is you're fighting with the phone, you're fighting with your tablet, and you're trying to squeeze a couple hours just to watch that movie. Patrick, good to see you. Really appreciate your analysis on this. Thank you.
Thank you very much for having me.